Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric, and a continuing series where I review every single Capcom CP, CP System Dash, CPS2, and CPS3 game ever made, and today we're taking a look at Mercs. Now I will say right off the bat, I absolutely love this game. It is one of my favorite games on the Capcom System CP, and hopefully it is one of yours too. Before we get too far involved, if you do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon link down there as well. But Mercs is a super simple game. If you've played one run and gun, you've played them all and you know how they operate. This kind of reminds me a little bit like Shock Troopers for the Neo Geo, although I would say that I prefer this game ever so slightly to that series. But I just love these arcade run and gun games. This basically just feels like a vertical Contra to me. But it has so much stuff going on. The animations are great, the enemies are great, all the level layouts are fun. It's constantly changing up what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's just the type of game that I thoroughly from start to finish enjoy playing, and I feel like it's one of the games that I'm better at on the system as well. You'll see here right off the top, it launches you right into the action. Within about 45 seconds we're at the first boss fight and we're moving right to the next stage. You get these little intercuts in between just telling you what's going on. It's a tiny bit of story, and obviously with an arcade game, story is usually not essential, but it is fun to have it. I just like the perspective of this game too. I appreciate the fact that everything is zoomed out more because it gives all the visuals more of an epic battle scale. You know, we have these European grain silo buildings here. We have these different cars coming in, and you feel really small in comparison. If they had moved the camera in closer, I think the game wouldn't have been as effective. But here we are right on stage 2 within like a minute and a half of playing this game, and we already have a rocket launching Jeep that we're able to drive around in. And you're going to get so many more different vehicles throughout your playthrough that you're constantly going to be experiencing something new. The action's great, the controls work perfectly. When you're playing this game well, it feels almost flawless, and that's really what I enjoy about it. I also appreciate the fact that this is a vertical playing game, or tate mode. I just think that it works better. It lets you see more of what's coming up ahead of you, and that is a big thing. A lot of the times, you're going to have 5-10 enemies on screen at once. We have 4 motorcycle guys and 3 soldiers on foot, and you're constantly going to be having to react and plan to what's going on around you. And here comes the second boss, and I just love how quick this game moves from setting to setting. I mean, I'm looking at my timeline as I talk right now, and I'm at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and we're already at the end of stage 2, and by the time we get to stage 3, even more cool stuff is going to be going on. And that's what I love with arcade games, when it doesn't make you do the same thing for too long before it switches it up. It keeps me super interested, super intrigued, wanting to keep playing more and more. And so far I'm on stage 3 and I've only used 1 credit. I would say for an arcade game, that's very fair, and that's the thing. If you pump the difficulty up on this game, it becomes much harder, and it almost feels like a bullet hell game on foot. And I really actually appreciate that. For this capture to make it easier on myself, I'm playing on normal, but this is the type of game that you can continually replay and get better at and enjoy more and more and more. And it's not a genre that you see a lot of games from. You get so many more regular shmups, so many more beat 'em up, so many more fighting games. These run and guns are fewer and farther in between, and when you get one and it's really good, like Merc, you're definitely going to be enjoying yourself. But outside of the gameplay, which I can't say enough good things about, I just love the visuals too. All the sprites are really well animated. The game has a color palette that really fits the war theme. Nothing's too colorful, nothing's too drab. I even like the power-ups there. You can get a can of spinach, obviously coming from Popeye. But everything looks and sounds really nice too, and I also enjoy that. Some things like these turrets here, they just slow you down a little bit and you get blown out of them. You can use them if you want. Sometimes I skip them completely, and there is a lot of strategy in this game because stopping and slowing down can be to your detriment. You constantly want to be in motion, moving left, right, up, and down, because that's the #1 way that you're going to avoid projectiles. But this game also has an awesome soundtrack. What I want to let you do is listen to it for about the next 30 to 45 seconds, and I'll come back and tell you more about why I think this probably is my favorite Capcom CP System game. But enjoy! I do love the Flamethrower too. It's a really fun weapon. When you hit your enemies, they actually burn up as their sprite character, and I just really like that level of detail. But now we're on a jet ski and we're going through the water. This game is just constantly slightly changing and staying fresh and staying interesting, and that's why I think it's one of my favorite games on this platform, and honestly one of my favorite Capcom games of all time, even if weirdly I don't hear it mentioned near as much as some of the other games that Capcom has made, which bums me out. And hey, maybe you've never heard about this and now you know it, maybe you'll love it as much or slightly less than I do. But even the weaponry is great. You have bombs that are really important. You'll see here that I have 4, and if I conserve those and I use them on just the bosses, it's going to make my life a lot easier. I don't really feel like using your special weapons during the stage is as important as conserving them, because the bosses, obviously rightly so, are going to be the hardest part of any individual level, and saving those bombs or missiles that you have is going to be super useful, because I take one cheap death there because I was trying to force myself too far forward, but I basically got the boss almost dead just by conserving my special attacks. But even all the power-ups, you get, joints of meat, you get, missiles in briefcases, you get to shoot tanks. It's all just a lot of fun. And it definitely seems to mix up different eras too. This kind of feels like playing an interactive Rambo game, but we're going through Europe. Some of the motorcycles look like World War II German motorcycles. Some of the jeeps and tanks seem way more modern than that. And even now we get to pilot our own tank, and very shortly we're going to be in a jeep again. It's just constantly doing something fun and new and unique. The action's great. It controls perfectly. There's no lag. It's just everything you want. And it does take things away from you every once in a while. You'll see there was mines on the ground that are unavoidable. You have to give that tank up. But now we're moving faster through this little European village on a jeep, and you can even run over the smaller enemies. You don't have to shoot them. If you just hit them with your jeep, they're gonna die, and I love that. And if you pick your line just right, and I got really close here, I got a little jammed up, you can just start skipping past certain areas too. Some of your strategy could be that you actually don't want to wait around and destroy everything. Moving forward and getting past the danger is going to be as applicable of a strategy as stopping and trying to kill absolutely everything. But I mean, the game sounds great, it looks great, it plays great. This was something that home consoles, when this game came out, couldn't pull off. I remember first seeing this in arcades, and I fell in love with it. It didn't stay on this, arcade floor that long, because it definitely wasn't as big of a hit for Capcom, it seemed, to some of their other games. But now that I'm able to play it anytime I want, it's a game that I really love playing over and over again, getting better at, learning the patterns of more, and improving. And just like a shmup, it is one of those games that the more you practice, the better you are, and you could get into a situation where you could beat this on one credit exclusively, and it's a fun game to learn and try to master in that respect. And it's just a genre that I feel like we don't get as much of anymore. People are constantly making shmups still. Some of them are good, some of them are great. But the kind of classic arcade run-and-gun game like Mercs is not one that we see that much of anymore. I mean, you get stuff like Streets of Rage 4, new 2D beat-em-ups, but I kind of wish this genre would come back to us a little bit more. But I'm curious, more so than a lot of the games I've talked about on this playlist. Have you heard of Mercs before? Have you played it? What do you think about it? Leave me a question or comment in the comment section down below, because I love knowing what your guys' opinions of this game are. And like I said, if you've never played this game before and it looks even slightly interesting, just do me a huge favor and play it sometime soon and leave me a comment and tell me what you think, because I really enjoy when some of my favorite games end up being some of your favorite newly discovered games. But short of that, I will be back next Wednesday with another episode in our review series, and I'll have videos on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday as well. But there's still so many Capcom games to talk about. We've barely scratched the surface, and this is probably our 9th video, maybe even 10th at this point in time. And we have so much more good stuff coming up, because Capcom just constantly made amazing games. But like I said, Mercs to me is a personal favorite. It's everything I want in a game. Great action, great graphics, great sound effects, challenging without being unfair, and it's doing things that are slightly different than everybody else is doing. And I just really love the whole setting of this game. It's like basically playing a Rambo movie in real time. But we hope you guys enjoyed this video. We hope you have a good rest of your week. Like I said, any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love chatting with you guys. And if you could do me a huge favor, go down below and hit like, subscribe. Definitely helps us out. I'll let you guys watch the next couple seconds. Otherwise, have a good day. Bye-bye.